button. I was just about to say it.
Oh yeah, that got left out.
Yep. Well, we'll go ahead and get this thing started, man. So, all right, let me get a sip of my tea.
I'm a child this morning, so I'm ready to roll.
Welcome to another episode of Share the Vibes Podcast. I am your host, Jink the DJ, founder CEO of Share the Vibes LLC. Glad to have you with us. This is our last time recording in 2024, but you're probably hearing this in 2025. So if you're hearing this, you made it. So thank the Lord. Another new year. Glad to have you with us. We're all about music technology, bringing people together here. It's a music technology community. That's kind of what we're all about here, Share the Vibes. So we're going to keep the theme going. I got a special guest with us because, every guest is special. But before we get into that, we got to address some housekeeping. So first and foremost, like, share, comment, subscribe, follow, share this with somebody who needs to hear this conversation. And thank you for tapping in with us, man. We love all of our supporters, all of our followers. Y'all are family, and y'all make us do what we do. So thank you for sticking with us. Make sure you go to sharethevibesllc.com. Click that link in the description. Get you some merch, man. I got my T-shirt on today. I'm here for the vibes. One thing you see the whole thing. There we go. I got me here for the vibes T-shirt on. So get you some merch. We also got the crew neck side there, hoodies on deck. We got our oversized embroidered tees. So we got some stuff to keep you nice, warm, and swaggy through the winter, so you can look good while you feel good. So make sure you go get that. Invite your friend one too. Don't be selfish. Don't be stingy. Spread the love. Share the vibes, man. Do it. You know what to do. Man, Mwanja, how you doing, brother?
Man, good, man. Christmas Eve. Super excited for this episode, man. Listening to the music. Man, I was getting some vibes, man. It's some old school vibes, some old school R&B vibes that I like. I was like, yeah, bringing it back. He ain't talking about, beating it up or choking while spitting your mouth. It's just real love.
Real love.
Bring love back in R&B.
Good old-fashioned love.
Good old-fashioned love, right? Just let's talk for hours on the phone. Fall asleep on the phone. No, but I'm excited, man. And yeah, man, just getting ready for the holiday and all that good stuff and just winding down. I just had a little meeting yesterday with one of potential clients. So just kind of wrapping things up and getting prepared for 2025, man. Hopefully I'm hoping and praying it's gonna be a big year. Big year. A big year. So I'm excited about that.
Absolutely, man. If you're not already, make sure you tap in on Audio Moguls Podcast Network. AudioMogulsMedia.com. AudioMoguls.com. It's one of those two. It's in the description. So, whatever it is, it's in the description. Make sure you click that link. Do as I say, not as I do. Whatever, how the saying goes. So yeah. So tap in with Audio Moguls Podcast Network. We are proud members of the Audio Moguls Podcast Network, and many other dope podcasts are on that part of this group, part of this family. So we got music and tech covered, but there are plenty of things to feed whatever it is you're interested in on Audio Moguls Podcast Network. So tap in with them. And tap in what all them and 1J has going on. Mr. Crowd Favorite. You got them 10 bands yet?
No, man. It's supposed to be, that's what I was having a meeting about yesterday. Where's my money? Yeah. So yeah, hopefully in the new top of the year, I believe, they got some stuff going on. You can apply for the grant and all that stuff like that. So as a winner, you get like first dibs of it. So, because I was like, where's the money?
Hey, man, well, if y'all see us with new mics and backgrounds and I'm flying up to Milwaukee to record these episodes and guests coming in, it's cause the 10 bands hit, man. It's cause the bag hit, man. So, hey, man, salute to you, man. So as Mwanja alluded to, we are recording this on Christmas Eve, but you probably will hear this in 2025 at some point. Some point. Yeah, it'll be in the new year. This is probably our first episode of the new year. So we're going to bring it in with a banger. But hey, man, like I say, every guest is special. So we're glad to have one of my brothers with us, Mr. Justin J-Llyfe with 2 L's. Thomas, J-Llyfe, how you doing, brother?
What's up? 06. What's up, Fi?
Yes, sir. That's bloody Zaza right there.
Yes, sir.
Oh, man, met Justin probably about 12 years ago now. Not too long after I crossed, somewhere up in there. I crossed Spring 12, so it was somewhere around that 2012, 2013 time frame.
I want to say that I came to your probate or we met at somebody else's probate. I can't remember.
Yeah, you probably did come to ours because that was the first one GK had in about 3 years, so it was a semi-big deal.
I think we did come to that one. We was all over that year. We was just trying to be out.
Yeah. So good times, man. Good times. Good times. So like I said, we are both brothers of Alpha Phi Alpha. Fraternity Incorporated. We're not biased though. I think 2 of our last few guests have been Sigmas actually. So we spread the love around here. Everybody's family. Yeah. So both Alpha Bama brothers. And I know around that time, I think you were kind of picking up with the music and everything. I forgot exactly when you dropped your first single. I think Mama Mama is the first song I heard. And I know that's been a little while ago, but I remember you did a video for You Are. And Pat from Old and New was in the video. And I think you might have called me about that video before you shot it. There was something you were shooting. I remember it was You Are something else. So, hey, you around? Want you to be in my video? And I was going to pull up, but I think I was in Georgia or Milwaukee or somewhere at that point. So it didn't work out.
It was You Are. So I called Pat on the last minute whim. He's never acted before.
Yeah.
I said, I can direct somebody into something. And Pat, pulled up. Pat has nothing to do with it. I think Pat's in dentistry.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
All I ought to knew they dentists or doctors, surgeons, that's all they do at all to knew.
They made it work, bro. But Pat came through with the suit, had paired him with the leading lady, scoped out some location, and we got a shot. Yeah, that was my first video. That was in 2017.
Okay.
2016, something like that.
So I was in Milwaukee at that point. Matter of fact, if it was 2016, I may have even been in Connecticut, but I was somewhere between Connecticut and Milwaukee, depending on the time frame. But yeah, man, we've been rocking ever since. So whenever you drop music, I make sure I listen to it. I share it with people. When I had J-Llyfe Radio going last year on AMP, shout out to AMP, man. That was a nice platform, man. But definitely people used to love it when I put your songs in the mix. So man, glad to see the journey. We're gonna get into it today. We're gonna come back to You Are in that Vibe Talk segment too. Y'all got to hear that if you haven't heard it.
Appreciate it.
Come back to that. But first and foremost, how you doing, brother? It's good to see you.
Good to see y'all, man. I appreciate y'all having me on. It's been snowing up here in New York right now for the second day.
Yeah.
My wife and I was just laughing about it this morning. I was like, well, this is our first real snow Christmas in a long time.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, all right, here we go. Like the movies.
Yep. I caught a few of those in Milwaukee. Matter of fact, 2018. So that's when my oldest daughter was born. She wasn't quite 1 yet. But my mama came up to Milwaukee to spend Christmas with us that year. That was the first time I had a white Christmas. I said, my mama came up from South Georgia and caught some snow on Christmas. So that was probably her first white Christmas too, just knowing she'd been in South Georgia all her life. But nah, man, it's there's a beauty in it. It's the snow is definitely overrated. When we've been in the South, just ain't never experienced it before. I want to see a white Christmas and all this stuff, but you get into it after that's about that first month. You're like, all right, I'm kind of over it now. But,
yeah.
Man,
that's gonna be crazy down there. Though when y'all should know. You're like y'all shut down. It'd be black ice. Yeah. I remember one Christmas we went down to my great grandmother's house in Dumas, Arkansas, and I remember we had to stop like 10 times because it was just bad.
Yeah.
Snow is snow.
If your tires ain't ready for you, you got to pull over.
Yeah. Yeah, you get exposed real quick. And you're not equipped for it in the South. So I mean, when I got to Milwaukee and I was at a frat event. I came outside, like everybody's cars was covered with snow. I'm like, what in the world am I supposed to do? But everybody just took out their brushes, just started brushing it off like it's normal. So I just kind of fell in line. But I'm glad I was with a group. I wouldn't know what to do. I had never experienced anything like that, growing up. So, like you say, down here we get a dusting and the whole world shut down. So,
where you at, 1J?
Milwaukee.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that's when we connected up in Milwaukee. So 1J been rocking with J-Llyfe from. I think he was in that first cohort in the Facebook group. He might have been around before the Facebook group. I remember us having some early conversations when J-Llyfe was just getting started. So, yeah, he been a long-time supporter, and now we get to do this together, bringing this platform to the world. So, yeah, man.
Are you back in Atlanta, D?
I'm in Charlotte now.
Charlotte, okay.
Yes.
We all over right now.
Yeah.
Shout out to technology.
Yeah, man, exactly. So, man, we gonna get into it, man. I know you got things to do, man. J-Llyfe is a busy brother, but we gonna get into it, man. So maybe first things first. I know you're from Alabama. You're in New York now. Let's break the ice. What's your favorite live musical?
Favorite live musical? Oh, that's kind of tough, but I will say. My favorite I've seen recently, man, happens to be Alicia Keys' new joint, Hell's Kitchen.
Okay.
Hell's Kitchen, man, it's tough, man. I don't get a chance to come up here and see it, man. It's like literally one of the best ones I've seen, where it just integrates from an artistic standpoint, not only her songs from her album, but like some of the new stuff, and interweave it into a story. Man, just to hear Unthinkable. Man, if you get a chance to hear that Unthinkable joint, man, in a Broadway format, oh my goodness. I've always been curious to hear how her songs would sound from a male's perspective, and you get that. You get to digest that, and you get to see the song at a whole new perspective, and it just takes it to a whole nother level, man. So that's one of the ones I've seen lately that I just like thoroughly enjoyed. But I guess all time though, I did love "Ain't Too Proud to Beg" also, because I'm a big Motown guy. So
I would love to see that. I would love to see that one. I'm a huge Temptations fan. You know, that was one of my favorite Christmas albums. You know, Temptations Christmas. I was talking about it in our little church Slack the other day, and my mom used to bring out that Temptations Christmas cassette after Thanksgiving, and you hear that in my mind, you know it's Christmas time.
In my mind.
Come on now.
You got to get it.
Come on now. Yeah. So now this Hell's Kitchen, is this play based on like Alicia's life? Is it kind of like a biopic or?
Yeah, so it's a dramatic retelling of her life growing up in Hell's Kitchen, which is a neighborhood in Manhattan.
Okay.
You know, New York really is New York City, but then they get all gang related here, and they're like, "Oh, I'm from Hell's Kitchen." You from New York City? Right. I ain't never been nowhere where people just ride so hard for a neighborhood.
Yeah.
Boroughs, man.
Boroughs, which again, it's just. It's strange. It's strange.
Yeah.
It's like us being in Birmingham. Oh, West End. I mean, I guess I take it back. Now that I say it like that, maybe we did.
Yeah. I was about to say something like, "Hey, man, I've been seeing this Parker J.O. and Fairfield." And
I take it back. You're right. I'm sorry, New York. I've been giving you the slap this whole time, but people definitely.
I was like, go ahead. I'm back.
No, I was saying, now that I think about it, when David said it, people did ride on from East Side, on from Norwood. Even the whole Gucci thing. I don't live in Birmingham. He lives in Bessemer, so I'm like, I take it back.
Chicago, they claim blocks, so at least y'all claim neighborhoods. They claim blocks in Chicago. They'd be right next to each other. Whole block. I'm like, right down the street. Like, y'all right next to each other. Go a block away, different blocks.
You got the same zip code.
Same zip code. Right. Come on.
But yeah. So yeah, Hell's Kitchen, it's on it's like the lower west side of Manhattan. So and it just tells a story on how she came up in like this project area with a single mother, but the dad was in and out because he's a traveling musician.
Yeah.
So it's like a dramatic retelling. Some of the parts they embellished on and just again folded the songs into it. But it was a really beautiful story.
That sounds dope. I would love to check that out, man. Yeah, I looked up Hell's Kitchen as an Apple Music. I see the soundtrack came up from it. So
soundtrack pressure.
Okay, you have to check that out, man, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
So if you don't want to listen to the whole thing, just start out with Unthinkable and let me get that one real quick. Unthinkable and. Like I said, I'm biased, so the duets is what I go for.
Okay.
Unthinkable and Love Me Like I See You Again.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm gonna go ahead and throw and If I Ain't Got You on there too.
I want to hear that If I Ain't Got You.
Yeah. So Brandon Dixon, man, if you ever watch Power, he was on Power as I think Detective Sachs.
Okay.
In like the second season, man. So I didn't even realize he was a singer like that, man. So the man came out. No, the black dude. So maybe I'm saying the wrong name. It was the bald-headed black dude on Power.
Okay.
But yeah, man, he plays piano and vocals. Nice, smooth tenor, man. But the way they do that one, there's a rearrangement that was done by Adam Blackstone, who was nominated for that. And it was a jazz arrangement of it, so I thought it was really, really cool and well done. So that was my 3 off there.
Okay. Yeah, I love those reimaginations of classic songs, man, just to see the different spins on it. One of my favorite Share the Vibes Award categories is Best Sample. I just like to see how people interpreted these different samples being used. One of my favorites this year, and I don't know who won yet. Even though the winners will be announced by the time this comes out. But I don't influence. I get one vote like everyone else. But one of my favorite samples this year is It the Way by Saweetie. When she took The Way by Jill Scott.
Oh yeah.
It's one of
I
my.
hadn't heard that one yet.
It's dope. Very, very dope sample. That one. Another one, which looking at the Shut Advisor Awards results so far, people didn't show that 21 Savage album enough love this year. I'm just saying. But that I think it wasn't the intro. I think the intro was like a monologue or something. The second song, I think it's called All of Me. He sampled what's that? The Rolls Royce song?
Wishing on a Star.
Wishing on a Star. Yeah. Yeah, he sampled that to kick off the album, man. But he did it very well. He actually had some great samples on that album, man. American Dream is a dope album. That's one of my favorite albums this year.
Check it out.
21 Savage is good with R&B.
Yeah,
he's
man.
like
he want to be a singer, man. That's the whole point. He just can't sing, man. But I ain't gonna lie, I thoroughly enjoy whenever he sings Keisha Cole's joint.
Yeah, man. No, he's such a dope artist, man. He had a very underrated, underappreciated album this year. They kicked off the year, too, so that's part of it, too. Came out in Q1. It's hard to keep that momentum when you drop in Q1.
Yeah.
Especially with the stuff that happened this year. You know, even Cowboy Carter didn't really get that much love that long because Future and Kendrick came right behind it. And this took all the shine away. So
took all the shine away,
man. But nonetheless, so J-Llyfe, you in New York, you talked about being in Birmingham a little bit, which we've had a number of Birmingham guests on this year. Matter of fact, our last guest was Slim Rob out of Birmingham. You may know Rob. He's a Sigma. I forgot where he crossed that, but he's a DJ down there. Big on radio, does a lot of big events and stuff too. He has Shots on 3 photo booth now as well, which has been kind of his expansion. But we had him on last. We've had a few people on this year, but talk a little bit about, I guess, kind of the journey going from Birmingham to New York, some of those differences and just how your perspective has maybe shifted going from Birmingham to New York. Those are two completely different worlds. Just
For sure. I mean, Birmingham in general for me was a journey. I grew up in Southtown projects, but then I stayed on north side of Birmingham up until about 6th grade, and then I moved to the east side of Center Point. So that difference already going from the city schools to the county schools was different. For the first time ever, you don't get to wear uniforms. Now you got to have the best clothes on. So figuring out what that was like, and then finally just choosing the college to go to. You know, I was in Alabama. I think had some of the dopest HBCUs around.
Facts.
I was this close to going to state, but I was feeling myself a little bit too much at the time because I had just, got into acting. I was like, shout out to Dr. Stewart. But I went to my audition. One, they didn't want to give me a scholarship, and I already had 3 scholarships on the table. And they was like, "Oh, you're not gonna get on the stage as a freshman." I'm like, "What you mean? What you mean? I got 3 scholarships. Come on, put me on stage." So I chose to go to Jacksonville State instead. And looking back, I was like, "Dang, maybe I should have went somewhere else where I would have been more celebrated." Because we only did out of the 20 shows, only 3 of them really centered around Black actors.
Interesting.
4 years over there, yeah.
Very interesting.
Very. But nevertheless, I was thankful for my time in Jacksonville, as I got to kind of hone not only my acting abilities and my acting skills, but just everything behind the scenes, from lighting to costuming to the technical aspects of theater, which is how I, taking the story forward to New York is how I was able to survive in New York with the skills I amassed in Jacksonville. One of the first jobs I had while working in Jacksonville was working as a spotlight for the band called Chicago. Which a band that was big in the 90s and 2000s. But just my technical director gave me that gig and really seeing what it meant to do showbiz at the highest level, even though at that time they were on tour in Gaston.
Okay.
But it was still this level of professionalism that you had to have, and attention to detail, paying attention to instructions, and making sure that your timing is on, and things I added to my lessons now, man. So I'm very thankful for my time in Alabama that kind of helped me transition to New York.
Oh, that's dope, man. And you started getting into it a little bit. You moved around Birmingham a little bit. The I think you said you was on North Side, you was on East Side and Center Point, you was somewhere else before that, which are 3 different experiences, just based on those 3 different areas you mentioned. 3 very different experiences. But New York, you get that a little bit too. We were just talking about how people would go so hard for their boroughs and their neighborhoods within those boroughs and all that, man. I guess what's been your take of the culture in New York, and how has that maybe influenced your artistic expression?
I will say definitely just trying to figure out who you are, and again, just taking what New York is doing and just represent that and be true to it. And just figuring out what it means to you. I think when I relate that to my artistic journey, I know when I first got out, I used to make music for what I thought I had to be versus who I wanted to be. Because you said, I mean, I've known each other for a long time, and I do bounce back between hip hop and R&B. I was blessed with the ability to be able to rap and sing, but when I first started rapping, I was making these songs that, again, I felt like, oh, I'm making it for the club. And I'll club, but it's not like something that's at the forefront of my mind. Like, oh man, let's go to the club, because I'm not in that space anymore.
Right.
And then the older I got, and I really just found my pocket and where I wanted to be at. I started to make songs more so for me versus trying to make a hit record every time.
Yeah.
So New York definitely just kind of hung that. Go ahead, Monte.
No, I was gonna say, I wanted to go back a little bit because you just threw acting out there. And how you got there. So yeah, talk about that. So tell me, when did that bug first hit you, or when did you get that love of acting, and I guess just when did you find out that you had this talent, a trifecta, rapping, singing, and acting?
All right. Well, this is well, I think Devin knows this still already, but my journey into art was one of a dark path at first, in a sense.
Okay.
I started as an athlete, wrestling, baseball, football, baseball was what I played the longest. And then football and wrestling I got into in the 7th grade. I got into wrestling because I didn't make the basketball team. I just knew because I was black I could ball, but that was the farthest thing from the truth. And as I was telling the kids this week at school, because I work in education also, whenever I tell the story, I'm like, yeah, I went to school with DeMarcus Cousins. I'm like, there was no way I was going to make the basketball team. I probably most going to be able to hand him his water. We go on from there. So the wrestling coach was like, hey, man, some of y'all ain't going to make this basketball team. Just come on, try out for wrestling.
Right.
And, getting through what that looks like to wear that uniform, I was like,
right.
Coach, you sure? My junk's showing. Got my stretch marks out. I ain't feeling this. But it actually been really dope, man. And like I said, it ended up being like a 5-year journey. And I finished 3rd in the state my junior year, prior to my senior year, for 5A wrestling. But in my high school, which was Irwin High School, you had to take a final to graduate. So it was like take writing, take art, something like that. And I'm like, my handwriting was crap. I'm like, I'm not going to get in this class. So I was like, well, I'll take this acting class. Got an acting class. Shout out to my mentor still to this day, Mr. Young. In the class with a couple guys. And he's like, hey, man, you're really talented. You should try out for the spring show coming up. I'm like, nah, I'm not doing that. I said some other stuff, but I try not to repeat it to this day. Because you're young, 17, you're like, man, you care about your image. I was like, I don't want that to make me look a certain way.
Yeah.
But I still stuck with the class, and I realized I was having a lot of fun in there. And this is actually in that class, it was around the time Trapped in the Closet came out. So I remember like reacting that scene with this girl in class. We did Trapped in the TV and made it a really cool,
Trapped in
fun
the TV.
thing. Trapped in the TV. I was like, yo, this class is fun. What is this? So again, he circled back to me. He said, hey, man, you should really try out for our spring show coming up. And I'm just like, And baseball season's coming up. But I remember the year before that, man, baseball, we were not that great. We lost 41-1.
Ooh.
And then the next day we lost 40-0.
Ooh.
Yeah.
In baseball?
In baseball.
Good God.
They had to call a mercy rule on us. It's like, help them, please, help them. And I was like,
41 runs is insane.
yeah, man, that was
the schematics of baseball and how you getting the hit is hard, but
41?
we didn't have enough pitching.
Oh, okay.
You realize when you play baseball games, like, why is it 12 pitchers on this team? You realize why people have that. We had 1.5 pitchers on our team. When his arm is done, it's done.
Yep.
So we had to play a doubleheader. And like I said, literally getting beat by 40 points in the span of 5 hours was diabolical, as they say.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, maybe I can let baseball go. And I tried out for the play. And that play was called A Lesson Before Dying. About this kid in Louisiana accused of a crime he didn't commit, sentenced to death by the electric chair. And his grandmother at the time, reached out to the teacher to kind of teach him how to be a man. So I tried out for the show, and I got casted as that role, Jefferson, man on death row. A year at the end of the show, a few months later, I get diagnosed with B-cell lymphoma, cancer. And they tell me, they say, well, hey, we don't know how long you got. So similar to that character in that show, I'm like, well, if I'm going to die, what is my lesson? And it didn't come to me right away. But again, when you're in the hospital bed every 3 weeks for a week at a time, you start to kind of look at things in a different light. But while all that was happening, my mind is still going, okay, when am I going to play ball? When am I going to play ball? And it just never happened. My director came to see me multiple times, say, hey, man, when God closes one door for you, he's going to open another door for you. You just got to be ready to walk through it when it's open. Yeah. And the whole time in my face, God had been dangling this acting door in front of me, and I just kept rejecting. And in my most vulnerable, darkest spot, that's what saved me. Art gave me the ability to kind of really wrestle with my emotions and explore what my emotions meant. And after going through a year and a half of chemotherapy, like, it all made sense to me. I was just like, wow. Acting took me out of that dark place and gave me a chance to channel that. And I said, if that's something strong that can kind of change my perspective on life and it gave me positiveness, it's something I could dedicate my life to. And from that point on, I had dedicated my life to it. So when my director was coming back to see me a lot, he told me about the show he was writing, which was called Peacemaker. And again, just like The Lesson Before Dying, this next show became called Peacemaker. I internalized it that I needed to be at peace with what was happening in my life. And that show was a rap musical he was writing, which was ironic. And the character name was JT, which is what I go by now, which are my real initials. And I started rapping, but I was also writing poetry in the hospital at the time. So I was like, wow, all right, I might got a little something. Because me and my brother always grew up just rapping over the CD, recording the tape, stuff like that, just playing around. But now I'm having to do it for real. Yeah. And I just realized, okay, maybe I can do something with this. And that's how I got into the whole acting thing. Fast forward 6 more months, I did Raisin in the Sun. And if you know the story behind that, we have a story, Raisin in the Sun. There's a fester, and crust over server sweet, or does it sad like a heavy load or explode? So all these plays just kind of kept alluding to the things that were happening to my life. And I'm just like, all right, I hear you. I see you. Let's do it. And I started auditioning for schools and ended up getting a scholarship to go to Jacksonville State. And the rest was history.
But, shout out to you said Mr. Smith, right, was your director at the time? Young, Mr. Young. Shout out to him because that right there, and you're in education as well too, so you probably seen this or have done this as well too, where you see something in a student or a kid and you're like, you need to pursue that, and they're kind of like a little hesitant. Because I just recently had that happen where we have at our school, we just a brand new facility, built it $31 million. And in that facility is this $1 million studio. And it's like all these kids, all these dudes keep talking about, yeah, I want to rap, this, that, and the other. In my classroom, I teach podcasting and things like that. So they'll come to my classroom and do rapping, but they don't go to the studio and do it. And I'm like, yo, you need to go to the studio with all the equipment and you can actually get the real feel of a studio where you're behind the microphone and people are, doing a little talk box thing and telling you to, do this with your vocals, things like that. No, I don't have the confidence to do that. Go to it. This is the best place to do it.
Indeed.
And so for Mr. Young to point that out in you and then just following up on it too, that's the big thing, was following up on it. He didn't let you go. He noticed that you had this gift, and that's super important when you see somebody that have this gift that they're kind of maybe shy about it or kind of walking away from it, that you gotta bring it out of them. So shout out to Mr. Young for doing that, and obviously he's still a great mentor to this day. So shout out to him for that, because that's huge. That's huge, having that mentor that can pull that out of you
Indeed.
and won't let you go.
Because as you said, man, sometimes kids need to hear it again, and sometimes in a different way.
Yep.
And that's a life skill in itself. Okay, well, if I explain to them this way, maybe if I explain it this way, they'll gravitate to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's what he did, man. That second, third time around, I heard him. I was like, the reality of it is, all of us are not going to be DeMarcus Cousins.
Yep.
That's just simple as that.
Yeah.
All of us weren't blessed with the 6'10" height and the God-gifted abilities. Now, I felt great in my athletic abilities, but I'm like, this didn't have to be the only way that I make it out of the hood.
Yep. We talk about that a lot on here. It's alternative paths to get to where you're trying to go. It's a recurring thing. We never plan it, but it comes up in almost every conversation. Somebody you should actually get connected with if you don't know him. Nairi Davidson goes by Night, a songwriter. He's out of Milwaukee. He lives in L.A. now, but he's.
I think I listened to that one that you put on.
Okay, yeah. So he's he's very close with Tamar Braxton now. Like the last 2 hits she had that was top charting on the R&B side. He wrote those. He's wrote for Candace off Housewives of Potomac. I forgot the name of the song right now. He's worked with Coco Jones in the past and a lot of other artists. But he talked about yeah. So, but he talked about how getting started. He was at FAMU, trying out for making a band, wanted to be an artist. Realized he hated it, and now he's in LA. Writing Billboard charting R&B hits. For some big artists. So, sometimes we have to have those pivotal moments, literally, in our lives that redirect us to where we should be going. So, it's fortunate and unfortunate. That it was a cancer experience that kind of gave you that revelation. But hey, man, isn't God funny? Just bringing this on after you do this play, a lesson before dying. And it's like, you might be dying pretty soon, and now you're sitting here learning in real time, and it's literally changed the trajectory of your life. So those pivotal moments, man, just redirecting us, course correcting us. It's I had this revelation maybe about 2 weeks ago. I attend Union Church here in Charlotte, and we were at our Freedom Conference. And the whole concept of the conference is there's a preacher, speaker, whatever you want to call it, around certain topics. And at the end of that, the goal is for you to release those things from your life. So one was like around fear, and one was around shame and pride and all these different things. So they had these scripture cards, and one of them was Jeremiah 29:11, very popular scripture. If you're out there listening, for I know the plans I have for you, plans to prosper you, plans for your good, all that good stuff. So I read it, as I have done several times before throughout my life. And then afterwards, the whoever preached, spoke, came back, and they did like a declaration, kind of like a prayer that everybody did together, but it was like loud and boisterous, all this good stuff. And in there she say, I have plans you have plans to prosper me. And she say, "Ooh, that's good news." And I was like, "Hold on, wait a minute." It hit me a little differently. And I thought about that scripture again, and I say, it says, "For I know the plans I have for you," not the goals, not the ideals, not the desired state. No, the plans I have for you. So that means that our prosperity is literally planned out by God. That means that there's a roadmap. You think of God as the project manager. He's laid out this project plan, this roadmap for your life, and prosperity is at the end of that. Now, how we get there, we don't know. For you, it was, hey, all right, wrestling, basketball. Nope, can't do that no more. All right, play. Listen before dying. Oh, cancel. Oh, go in the hospital a little bit. Oh, never mind. All right, leave Birmingham. Up to New York. All right, come up here. In the Manhattan, watch Hell's Kitchen, play all this stuff. But, we don't know that. But that seeing that scripture in that light was just like like the revelation I needed before we close out 2024. That hey, no matter what's going on, no matter how tough it is, how challenging it is, rest in the fact that our prosperity is planned by God. That means it's intentional. There is an intentional roadmap to that prosperity. So rest in that. If you listen to that, this isn't intended to be a sermon or anything of that nature. Number one, Jay's the
I was about to add a little bit too. Because my line jacket says, "Shun not the struggle, for it is God's gift."
Come on.
Shun not the struggle, for it's God's gift. So even just looking back on that, and again, I feel like, I mean, what we're talking about now, every aspect of your life, you just got to really pay attention to it and be intentional about it. And listen to when God is talking to you. Yeah. And sometimes He's showing you lessons in some of the smallest forms.
Yep.
And I just imagine if I would have had that shine at the struggle was God's gift in 2007 that I got in 2012. I was like, wow, God really just be talking to us and just guiding our path and ordering our footsteps, man. So sermons.
Hey, Shundo, Ibaba.
Yeah.
Hey, man. So all right. So Birmingham, New York. We kind of got the story on how you got into acting. Now, where did the music come into play here? You said you had the gifts of rapping and singing. How did you get into the music side of things?
So music, just going back to, again, that time in the hospital, man, realizing I had so much time on my hands. So I started with poetry and just writing, pass the time by. I said, I can sit here and do something productive, or I can walk around this hospital with my butt out. I'm going to choose to write. And I remember I was on this website. It closed down now, man, but it was called GS Poetry. And on GS Poetry, somebody had this thread on there called Spit Series. And it was essentially freestyle poetry, and it didn't have like a theme matter or a subject matter. You could literally write what you want. And I wrote Spit Series 7. And then I wrote Spit Series 14, where it was a response to somebody, got on there and started critiquing my junk and like, oh man, this ain't that. And I was like, all right, I'll come back and write something else. And between those two, I realized, oh, I might got some bars. And I still know those bars to this day. So when Mr. Young came to the hospital and mentioned this rap music he was doing, a friend of mine at the time, Trinity, she ended up, she was getting into producing at the time. She's an amazing saxophone player. She had all these beats, and she had this song called All These Haters, which was like a tribute to all that. And she put me on the hook of that and the chorus. And I realized again, I was like, wow, I think I can do this. And that was literally like my first real introduction into music outside of growing up. Now, singing is what I've done the longest.
Okay.
But again, never at a serious manner outside of being in church choir. Everybody's in the church choir.
Right.
Yep.
But I also, shout out to Belinda Floyd, my elementary choir teacher. I was in that choir called the Adorable Kids. We would travel around the country. We went to Ohio and some other places. And then I love music. My grandma used to have this piano in her living room. It was out of tune. But, I've always kind of like love what the piano does and these things. But again, rapping was the first time I got my full-on performance experience, like in like a solo / core group type of vibe. Because singing, I used to be like really shy about my singing on the solo standpoint. I'm just like, it's this whole thing again. I don't know what they're gonna say about it. I don't know if it's good enough. A funny story, man. I had this home at the time. We tried to do a talent show at Irwin. We did Walked Out of Heaven, and it was so bad we had to walk off the stage. So I was like, maybe singing, and that man ain't meant for me. And I used to kind of cheat also, man. I used to record stuff on the phone. I'm like, hey, listen to me sing, but it wasn't me. So rapping was what I did first in the most confident manner. And then through that, I figured out my voice and my sound. And now I do more singing and rapping, but I'm always ready.
Always ready. But one, I mean, how does that resonate with you? Just as for one just in education too. You know, you talk about being at the school, so both y'all have that in common. The one J plays behind the boards. Also, don't let him fool you. Like he's produced some dope stuff. So as a musician yourself, I guess we're all musicians in our own right, but as a musician yourself, one J, just how does that story resonate with you and kind of your experiences?
It's funny because when I was in high school, that's all I was at, was in the piano room. Was in the piano room. I took swing. I took all musical stuff. I didn't do any sports. I did all musical stuff. So freshman year, band, played the trumpet, learned. That's how I first learned how to read music and treble clef. Second year, I was supposed to be in marching band. Then I told my mom, like, nah, I ain't trying to do that. So she was like, nah, we're finna get you out of here. And I ended up taking piano, and Miss Walker was her name. Miss Walker allowed me to, I would skip lunch and just be in the room and learn the new songs. Even last night, I was picking my sister up from my grandmother's house, and we were listening to Janae Eiko, The Worst. And I'm like, I can learn these chords. So that's all I was doing last night. So when I dropped her off, she had got a piano, I think last Christmas or the Christmas before. So I was in there just playing the chords, messing up, and just going after. And it just took me back to when, like, I would be up to like 4 or 5 in the morning, just learning new chords, songs, and things like that, because it was just, you just love music so much. But now it's a little different, because now it's now the podcasting a little bit more than music. But yeah, that resonated, because at the end of the day, like you said, I can still get busy if I need to. I can still get busy if I need to. And the beauty about Facebook is I used to write these little notes and poems as well. I forgot what they were called. It was a series. I had like 6 series, but it was just about, when I was in high school, I was lovey-dovey. So all the girls, every girl I could think of, I was crushing on her. So I would write a little poem about them and then tag them in the poem or whatever. And they was like, "That's that for me." And then if it didn't work out, tag another person in there, but like, that's for you. But yeah, I just feel like anybody that's listening to this, if you're in education or if you're a teenager, they're listening to it, like, take time in high school to figure out what your gifts and your passions are, because unfortunately, as an adult, you don't get those luxuries right away. You don't get those luxuries because you got so many other things that you're trying to do, and you kind of lose that love, whether it's music, acting, sports, or whatever you love to do. You don't have that luxury because you just got a lot going on. So take that time to really explore what you want to do and hone it and live in it, because you just never know what can happen. So yeah, that's why I was like, this story is good to me, because it's like high school. That's what it was all about. Just trying to find your passion, find your goal. I love basketball too, but listen, up and down that court, brother,
that's humbling. Humble you real quick,
man. When and then you got that one dude you guarding that's faster than you. And then everybody looking at you like, bro, guard your man, like this Negro can run.
He don't want to see me in the booth, though.
Exactly. Yeah.
Or the classroom. He don't see the grades.
Hey, that was my thing.
Right. Yeah.
Bitch won't match report cards.
I remember I saw somebody a report card. I still never forget this to this day. I was walking home, and I ain't gonna say his name. But dog had a 0.6.
Man.
0.6. I said, brother, all you did was just write your name on the paper and that's it, and turn it in. Like, what? Like a 0.6? How you get a 0.6? Like, I was like, I'll never forget it to this day. I know that. Yeah, the brother showed up.
In fact, you can't try to fail that bad.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you don't do nothing. You do nothing.
Yeah,
nothing.
Man, that's crazy, man. Hey, man. As y'all were talking, man, I just stir up the gift came in my mind, man. Spending some time just focusing on your passions and your gifts, and that's people ask me all the time, like, what advice would you give to students, and college students, high school students? I'm like, hey, spend time exploring your passions, like be intentional about it. Because to your point, you become an adult and life start lifing and the bills start billing and your priorities have to change. But while you have the luxury of limited responsibilities and the runway to fail and it not be devastating to you or anybody else, man, explore those passions, man, and figure out what is it that makes you tick, and then go in all on that. So when you start investing these resources into yourself and learning and really building these skills, you're building into something that really passionate and called to do. So that's that's a gem right there, man, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And you asked this earlier, so just building on that, that's kind of where my name came from. J-L-L-Y-F is the acronym for Just Living Life Young Forever. And not in the sense of being immature, but if you think about it, when we're in our younger age, some of us was really curious, some of us was really explorable, explorative. Some of us were fearless in the sense that we didn't care about the mistakes. Our imagination was at some of its peak. Just think about growing up. We played cowboys and technically Indians, but you got to be politically correct, Native Americans, and all these games we did. So when I thought about what I wanted to represent me, I wanted to make sure I always honored that child that was inside of me, that was curious, that was explorative, that was fearless, and just trying everything and believed in a lot of things. Because again, that's what we need as adults. We need that belief. We need all these transferable skills that sometimes we lose the older we get. So I wanted to make sure that I continued to feed that inner child as I got older. So that's what Just Living Life Young Forever came from.
Just Living Life Young Forever. Love it, man. I love it because it's, we've been having a lot of Bible talk today, whatever. But, even throughout the Bible, it talks about, come as a child and, having like that childlike faith and, that imagination, just the knowing no bounds, no limits. Just, I want to do this. I want that. And that's what I'm focused on. That's what I'm going to ask for. My girls get on my last nerve just asking for stuff. But I try to keep myself grounded because, well, for one, they believe I have it. So they look at me as their provider. They not all that cognizant of the bills and all these things, how I'm making it happen. They just know, hey, that's my daddy, and my daddy can make it happen. And I'm going to make my request known. I want Bojangles today. I'm going to go ask for Bojangles. I got Dino Nuggets in the freezer. It's kind of how it goes, man. You learn a lot from your kids, man. But there's something in it that we shouldn't lose as we become adults, having that imagination, that faith, that kind of unadulterated belief that anything is possible. We put our minds to it. So I love to hear that. Just living life young forever, keeping that childlike faith and that fervor going, man. So the thing, I think the parallel thing between rapping, singing, acting, it all goes back to storytelling. You even talked about earlier. You made a comment, JT, around maybe if I say something this way, they'll believe it. Versus we're talking about youth or something. But I think about acting and music, it's all storytelling and how you convey these stories in a way that resonates with your audience and makes them want to listen more. What's been your, maybe a more direct question, what's your preferred method of storytelling right now? And as you spend some time in this, you prefer the music or the acting or something else?
Great question. And every time I get it, I always tell people it's like trying to ask me what my favorite kid is. Can you pick your favorite daughter? So but to answer the question, if I had to choose, it would probably be music because I'm more in control of that. I can control when that's released, when that's distributed, versus the acting. I have to wait on somebody else. Just at this current junction. I'm waiting on somebody else to write the scripts, or waiting on somebody else to put the cast together, and it just takes a little bit more of groundwork. Still love it, and like I said, that's what saved my life initially. But so again, just having to choose music because, like I said, I'm in control of every aspect there. Because I write my own songs, I do my own backing vocals. Only thing I don't do is produce, which I'm probably going to start doing at some point.
Okay.
Yeah, so that probably have to be music.
What's that grind like? So what is that grind in the art? So for anybody that wants to be in this life of acting, music, what what's that, especially in New York, what is that grind like? Because I feel like everybody in New York wants to do something, has some type of passion in the arts, somehow, some way. And I guess give us a like kind of a walkthrough of an audition. Like, how does that work? Do you find an audition in the I would say yellow pages? I'm about to date myself.
Hilarious.
But tell me what do you look for when it comes to an acting, I want to say gig, but acting job or acting opportunity, and like how do you prepare? What happens when you go to the place? Or what, like, just break it down for us, like that step by step, if you will.
And as I talk, feel free to interject if I need to expound on something more. So again, as we talked about, like I'm in both sides of it. When I say both, well, actually multiple sides of it, but the main sides we're talking about, there's film and then there's television. Sorry, film and television, then there's stage. Now, for somebody up and coming, there's a multitude of ways to do it, but the more consistent way of doing it now, we have these casting websites. The two main ones are Backstage and Actors Access. Also, before I get too deep into this, for the young folks listening, please, if somebody tells you that you need to pay for something off the bat, to like come audition, chances are it's a scam. So please be mindful of scams. Be aware of that, because most of the auditions are free. I'm seeing an uptick. This is like a slight rant. I'm seeing an uptick of people really just poaching on young talent, of people who are unaware, by charging to come to something and making false promises to get them somewhere. And it was really grotesque that this continues to happen. It got even worse when the pandemic hit because people were just trying to find ways to make money.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, oh, I'm doing a master class. And they tried to fake guarantee people stuff like that. And people really believe in that. And I say it from a first-hand experience too, because I kind of was a victim of that when I first was on my way here. I met this guy who was in Birmingham, and he sold me on this dream. Oh yeah, man, I got this record label and all these things. When you get up there, I got there. There's nowhere to be found. But I invested the money in there, and it ain't go anywhere. So just being mindful and doing research on that. But taking the story back, ran over. Those are the two main ones. Now you do pay for those, but you're paying for your profile. That's also something people don't realize. In some aspects, it's almost gonna sound like I'm gonna counter, in a sense, contradict what I just said about paying. But a lot of this stuff we do pay for. Like most people don't realize, like even the Hollywood stars, like there's a rent on that. Like that's not free for the people to get their stars. I forget the lady's name, but Cat Williams had to end up eventually paying for her star to be on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, and people don't realize that. Even I'm probably jumping ahead on questions and whatever, but even like I think Debbie knew this, but I got an Emmy nomination a few years ago. To get the plaque itself, I had to pay for it. And you think, oh man, I'm getting to these spots, and I say, well, hey, you're nominated, but if you want this plaque, you want to send your money in for this. Wait, what? But I did it because, like I said, I mean, who knows when it's going to happen again? But I try to keep the faith that it will happen again. But yeah, you have Actors Access and Backstage where you're putting your profiles on. You need to invest in your headshots and some reels that you're going to place on there, and that's how you get most of your auditions through that. A lot of people are like, oh, I got to get signed this, I got to get signed this. When it comes to acting in general, you can have representation, or you can, work independently. But we do have organizations from SAG to SAG is Screen Actors Guild. And for theater, it's equity. But the reality of it is, again, it's all titles. And some of the folks that's in it, they get all hyped up on these titles. But if you get SAG or equity, once you're in it, you can only do SAG and equity. So if work slows down, you're not making anything. So you have to be mindful of when you join SAG and Equity, if you were just doing it for the title of
it. Yeah, that's. I didn't know it was like that, almost like a union or a.
The union is definitely what's that.
Yeah, it's just you're bound to certain things, And you hear that a lot with entertainment contracts. Joe Budden talks about it a lot, how a lot of artists kind of get screwed over because they sign these deals and now you locked into this. You can't do anything outside of this, or we own that, or restricts, kind of your ability to generate revenue for yourself, generate income. So much to learn just on the business side of entertainment and art. That we don't hear talked about a lot coming up. So I'm glad we get people like you on here to tell these stories. Somebody listening, if one person hears it and can make a pivot, it's a win. We like to tell the story often. Big Fresh, artist out of Milwaukee, his first live performance was at our first year at the Vice Fest, and we brought him back this year to kind of tell that story, had that full circle moment. But he was getting ready to release his first EP. I think that weekend. The festival was that Saturday. I think he was going to drop it that Monday. He met a music administrator at the festival, linked up with her, and decided to push it back so he can get some paperwork together and make sure everything was in order. So that's so important. It's something we want to make sure artists and creatives hear and learn about so that their business is in order so they can do things.
Take your time, man. Take your time. Don't feel rushed. It's always going to be there. As long as the effort that you're going to, whenever you decide to put it out, as long as you still put that same intentionality and effort behind it, no matter when you release it, it's going to be fine.
So you see an opportunity. Let's say you see a role that that interests you. Let's say it's in. Let's go TV. You see a role in TV, interests you. What do? You just pull up. You have to like what do you have to? Because TV, they make it seem like you just pulling up and with the TV acting like TV actors acting like they're trying to get a role on TV, which is interesting. They did make it seem like they just pull up and in this audition for the TV show on the TV show. But how does that work?
So it's funny question, but it's a great question because again, a lot of people don't know that. Most TV stuff you're not pulling up for unless it's like background role. That's the most successful thing that most people can get into. You don't need any acting experience to get into a background role. So some people, when they got, I've been on TV, more than likely it was probably a background role. That's the stuff that, again, it's a very integral part of it. But you're not having any lines. You're getting the most minimum of pay. So it's literally the minimum wage of acting. And you're working a long shift just to kind of help fill out those crowd scenes. And again, me saying that, it's not me, crapping on it because I've definitely done background. I only did like 3 of them because for me, I felt I go back and forth on was I being like too astute about it, or am I just saying, hey, well, I know my value. But I did get an opportunity to do background for 42 when they shot in Birmingham in like 2012. R.I.P. Chadwick Boseman. But I mean, if you are interested in acting, yes, you should definitely do some background stuff to kind of get a feel of what is it like to be on set. But eventually, you want to get on like a website like Actors Access or Backstage, so that you get even more of the name roles. When I got my first name role, I got it off of Actors Access. I played Eric Gardner in the first season, Random Acts of Flyness, that was on HBO a few years ago.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I seen that show. Okay.
And that came from that. I did it as an independent artist, so I didn't have to pay out like a manager's or agent's fee at the time. I did have a manager at the time, but depending on if you find or if they book it, was where you pay your agency fee.
No. So yeah, I was just going to ask that. So you really don't need an agent at the beginning level right away.
Not right away.
Okay.
If you choose to do it, just again be mindful. And again, going back to what I said earlier, if you get an agent off the bat, they don't get paid until you get paid. So if an agent tell you, you got to pay me, walk away.
Gotcha. So if you want to go in for a name role, let's say you are the love interest of the friend or something, how does that process work? Because you said for the background you can just walk up, but if you are, let's say you want to go for a role that maybe you're in a couple scenes, maybe 3 or 4 scenes in an episode. How does that process work? Do you need an agent at that point, or they just pick you up from the website, or you just send in your reels, or how does that work?
Sometimes it's really by chance. So if I try to tell my scholars now, man, sometimes it doesn't mean if you don't get picked for a role, it's not because you weren't good. You just weren't what they were looking for.
Mm-hmm.
So just from a mentor standpoint, I always try to encourage folks about that. But those bigger name roles, some of that stuff is gate kept.
Okay.
And it is through your agent. And you can get a situation when you get bumped up if you're already on set. Because I mean, it's been people that have happened like that. For example, Danny Trejo from Machete Kill. You know, he got his start working as a background artist and I believe a stuntman. And he just kept doing something. Something happened, he had to fill in, which kind of pushed his stardom up. So it's a very interesting journey to be a part of, but it definitely takes patience.
Gotcha.
Sometimes you get people who are like the internet celebrities who got things off the Vine and the Facebook and Instagram stuff like that, and they get opportunity to get in front of bigger judges and things of that nature. But it's definitely a grind, and it's usually never instant. But it's not to say that it can't
happen. And that's totally so. The TV movie is different, obviously different from stage. So with stage, how's that process where they have an open call for a certain character? Is that free? Would you just come up and then audition?
Yes.
Or, okay.
Yeah. So stage, again, there's Broadway auditions that are happening weekly. Now, some of it you still got to be mindful of because by law they still have to put the role out there, and depending on the show, because there's so much Broadway. It's in a vulnerable place right now, for the good and the bad. You know, some Broadway shows, for an example, when Holla If You Hear Me was on Broadway in 2014, which was a show inspired by the life of Tupac. It took $1 million a week to run that show. Now, how do you get to $1 million a week? You have to bring in the tickets, you got to bring in the draw. Bringing in that draw, you have to have a name attached to it.
Yeah.
So you're starting to see this uptick now of TV folks now heading to Broadway because they need to meet this quota, which is the job of the producer, getting these big people. So now it's kind of almost alienating the small folks out to the smaller roles because they're having to sell out these Broadway houses because rent is just through the roof right now. But most of the shows, they will put it out there because of law. They have to put it out there. Some of it is already precast, but they're going to do the formality of what they call a cattle call just to still bring folks in. They're also going to use that because everybody's thinking about marketing in a sense and how can I market it? What's the best way to market? Okay, even though I already have Hugh Jackman in my role, I'm going to put a casting call out there because now it's going to create this buzz around it.
Interesting.
And then for marketing,
yeah, I always go back to marketing. It's crazy. And then for then my last question is, I know we probably got to get into vibe talk, is for those young Black kids that are interested in Broadway and they feel like it's far away. Because when you think of New York, a lot of people, I've never been to New York. I still haven't been to New York yet. But I think the furthest east I've been was Ohio. But so it's on my bucket list. But as far as for Broadway or any acting, any stage, like what advice would you give kids to, let's say, somebody that's in Birmingham and it's like, man, I want to be an actor, or I want to, see a play, but I don't know how to get access. What are some opportunities, or just what should they start first?
Community theater.
Okay.
Starting in high schools. What I teach my scholars now, man, is that the world is a stage, and that's not my original words. That's the words of Shakespeare, despite what people feel about it. But the world is legit a stage. There are so many opportunities for you to be on a stage in spaces, from church plays to community theaters to I even got some of my acting, or I consider acting. I was the Chick-fil-A cow when I worked at Chick-fil-A growing up. Like all that stuff is acting, and your opportunities to be in front of people and feels what it's like to tell a story from start to finish and make that first impression. So being open to that. I know for some folks, they want to make the money right off the bat, and that's cool and all. But some of those opportunities you kind of got to take to build yourself up. When I first got here, I was doing the student films. at the film schools here because these are like, people who are going to eventually be something. Some of the directors come out of these film schools. So I was doing shows with some of everybody, just building my reel up to kind of get to that. There's now a website called Real Art where you can also find scene partners to kind of help you build your reel. But for me, my advice to everybody, just find as much as you can off the back and just get those reps. Because as you say, the older we get, and sometimes in the sense of our skin color, not necessarily the racist thing, but it's not skin color. There's not a lot of stories sometimes for black and brown folks' skin. So any reps you can get, take them. I used to listen to, I brought up Chad earlier on him being selective on the roles he's taken. And I love that, but I also still would encourage, again, to look at what they call the character description. Now, if it's something that definitely just demeans and just feels more wrong, then obviously don't take it, but just be open to the roles out there. And again, it feels like contradicting information, but in the same time, obviously you don't want to do too much that gets you like put in a box because you do want to be able to explore different types. But for me, man, when I apply for stuff like on Backstage or Actors Access, I'm applying for everything, whether it says black, white, brown, purple. One of my favorite shows I got casted as, it was a show that was set, it was called Flight. And the role was written for a white dude, but I applied for it, and the guy said, "Hey, man, I think you're my tummy." It was a show that was set in like the Midwest about this bank robber, and it was somewhat of a musical, but not really a musical. But I had the better audition, and they awarded me for that. So don't let that stop you, also, because sometimes they may be unsure what they're looking for. They think they know what they're looking for, and then you show them something different.
Yeah.
So you can always apply for it, man. So just be open to that process.
Open to the process. Open to the process.
Because as much as it's, important for as much as the story and the storytelling is important, the storyteller matters as well. And, the part that separates great musicians, actors, etc., is the way they tell stories. Me and Denzel go apply for a role, it's going to be two different storytellings that come out of that. And based on how the vision is, we're going to determine who's better suited to tell that story. But we all have our own ways to tell story, even through this podcast. The way we handle these conversations is different from the next one. And it's not good, bad, and different. It's just different. It is what it is. So that's the special sauce, if you will.
I went to go see, real quick, speaking of Denzel, I went to go see him in the Oriental Theater. He was playing Macbeth. That man,
oh yeah,
bag. And when I tell you, he was, why art thou hitting thee, or whatever he was saying? I was like, he was in his bag. I was like, that's what he wanted to do. He wanted to do this role.
Yeah, a lot of people know Denzel got his start in theater.
Yeah.
So if you want to be a film actor, start in theater. Now, if you ask me to act, what's my favorite between film and theater? I can tell you off the back, it's theater. Because that's when you get the most vulnerable moments of the story. There is no takes, second takes, no piecing together. It's you and the audience. It's instant feedback. If something doesn't land, the audience is going to let you know right away. If something's funny, the audience is going to let you know right away.
Yeah. And
you have to be the most honest in that. And there's nothing like, telling that story on stage. Shout out to Sanford Meisner and my college director, Susan McCain, who studied under Meisner and Adler and all these things. We talk about acting is behaving truthfully under imaginary circumstances. A lot of people, when they act, they're trying to play a shtick. They're trying to imitate what they've seen on TV versus being true to it. Because but if I say play drunk right now, they're going to just give you what they've seen versus this process of what does it mean to get to that. Because there's more than one way to play drunk.
Yeah.
There's more than one way to be in love. There's more than one way to be mad. Most people, when you say, "Hey, give me a scene right now, I want to be mad," what are they most likely going to start doing?
Yelling, cussing.
Yelling. because they think that's the only way to do it. And that's the beautiful part about theater. You find so many ways to tell that story.
Man, dope. And I figured you would say you preferred theater between that, film, TV. I figured theater would be your answer there. And I think that's what I've seen you do more of. And they kind of pull us back into the music side of this. I know you said that's, if you had to choose, it'd probably be music. You have a little bit more control over the story and that process. So in addition to acting, I know I've seen that you've done some work around like scoring and directing. I think both the acting and the music side of that. So what's been that experience of like scoring these productions and being like the musical director for these productions?
Yeah, so I mean, going back to kind of conversations we've had earlier about just being open to the journey, what I call it, just being able to pivot. I My biggest journey into television, I was with Tough Love, and I got on initially. I went for a bigger role. Again, I mean, I'm always going to try to bet on myself, but I'm also like, I'm going to take my opportunity. So I went in Tough Love for a bigger role. Didn't get it. They said, well, hey, man, we do have Speed Dater number 7 available. I was like, whatever. And that was my first part of, television. And while sticking with them, they end up putting out an ad for music coordinator position. I love music. I want to be in television. I reached out. I said, what I got to do? She said, oh, okay, well, let me see what your vibe like. Curate a playlist for me. If you was to watch this TV show. Boom, no problem. Because again, I know I love acting enough. What I want to tell, what my subtext to be, I created this playlist. And they loved it. And they gave me the opportunity to be the music coordinator. And they brought me on. So I did music coordinator for like 2 years. And as I started to learn more of the business, I advocated for myself. I was like, okay, what is the trajectory of this? What's next? From there, I got into music supervision. So kind of correct you on that.
Okay.
So music supervision is what I do, not necessarily scoring.
Okay.
Music supervision and coordinating is when you're watching the scene. So let's say everybody's seen Love and Basketball. Mm-hmm. And that famous scene when they're playing out on the court at the end of the movie, and you hear Michelle Lingoncello on there. That you made a fool of me. Mm-hmm. So that's what a music supervisor and music coordinator are doing. They're placing the songs that underscore the scenes on there.
Okay.
So that was my job on that. And through that, being flexible in that role, man, like I said, that's where, I did the show for 3 years, and then they started branching out to other parts of the show. We had another show called Pillow Talk. Tough Love is still going to this day. It's the show's on BT Plus and TV One. But I got nominated for an Emmy for Pillow Talk, which was like a branch story for that season. Because again, we find artists similar to how Issa Rae has done with Insecure and all those things. We find artists, up-and-coming artists that are still making really great songs and give them opportunities to shine through that. So it was a really dope journey to be able to be a part of that. And it's all about me just being flexible and open to the journey and not being mad that I didn't get picked for acting on the road.
Yeah. Is music supervision your main role in terms of acting, if you will, today?
I mean, I still act, but that's where I found the highest level of success if you're having to measure it.
Okay.
But I mean, I'm still. So when people ask that, us as artists, again, we're always working in the system because again, we always having to train ourselves and continue to be up to the process. And in a sense, it never stops. You may not consistently have work, but it's like training. You're always training. It's not there is necessarily an off season for us. Auditions can happen at any point. I think the last thing I came out for last year, I had a situation where I was in the running to play Biggie for some TV show. I had like 3 rounds of auditions on it. Ultimately, they chose somebody else with a bigger name because I mentioned it earlier. But I guess I did well enough for them to give me 3 looks at it.
Yeah.
But it just changes because sometimes when you're acting, you can get called back several times and they decide to go a different way. That happened for me a few times on Wu-Tang. This other show that came on AMC. but they'll send you an audition, and you usually have around 2 to 3 days to learn your lines, and then you send it back. It's like a quick turnaround, so you have to keep yourself sharp when it comes to those things.
Yeah.
Oh, and for musicians, a lot of people don't know too that I've been trying to get this one gentleman into music, scoring and things like that. Because I seen him play on the piano and I seen him make music, and I'm like, dude, you need to be that TV life. You can make some bread every time your song come on, that TV show come on, you get that check.
Mm-hmm.
You know, musicians will be missing out on that opportunity because they want the big hits. But I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, a lot of TV shows are looking for music actively for their shows, and there's new shows coming out. So that's been the bag I've been trying to get on for the last couple of like probably within the last 6 months of just learning what that process is like. But there's a lot of opportunities for up and coming artists and musicians as well too to get on those TV shows, because the local college here, MATC, local community college, MATC, I forgot his name, but he showed me his ASCAP, and Daw had over $200,000 of just music from just being placed in Love and Hip Hop or VH1 or whatever VH1 show that was going on, and he was just showing me and the students like how just 30 seconds change your life. 30 seconds can change your life.
Indeed,
it's important.
Yeah, man.
Opportunity there.
I know we ain't got a chance to really fully touch on that, but yeah, you can find. It's called artist.lo. Those are some of one of the main that I would tell people to go to. If you're trying to get your music on there as a placement, I had a friend who I placed in Tough Love a few years ago, and she just got her a new placement on some huge bag. I can't remember what it was, but again, every little bit that you build for your resume gives you an opportunity to show somebody, hey, I've done this before.
And what was that site again?
I'll put it in the chat in a second. Artist.lo.
Artist.lo. Is that LOW?
Yeah.
Artist.lo. If you're listening, artist.lo.
Go. Opportunities. And make sure you get your paperwork.
Yeah, get your paperwork for sure.
Yeah. And we go through all this, man. Get on your first. get on your music. Get on your pro sites. Get on your ASCAP, your BMI, CSAX on it, because again, you want to protect yourself.
Yep.
And once you get on your, and I know I forgot his name. You mentioned his name earlier, but I know he talked a lot about it.
Yeah.
We talked about all this. You want to protect yourself, but once you get on your pro, you want to make sure all your stuff is copyrighted. When you create your songs in general, you want to have multiple versions of your song. You want to have a clean version. You want to have your radio edit version. You want to have your version of it that just has maybe your backing vocals. You want to have so many versions of this that people can use, and it's already readily available. Because when we do music placement and things of that nature, we've used all versions of the songs. You want to have a version of it that's just the instrumentation of, especially, but if you make sure you own that instrumentation first. Don't just put something up that you don't own, because then you're putting us in a bind also from a legal standpoint.
Yeah.
Make sure you got all your stuff listed out, from who wrote the song, who produced the song, which parts, and where this, because that's stuff we have to go to on, and it has to be listed on your publishing and pro sites. So kind of going back to what I do as a music supervisor, not only do we place that, but in a nutshell, behind the metadata and all that stuff, we're looking at all those splits and things and having to write it out. It's a very interesting job. Yeah.
Talking that talk, man. I share would have lit up.
Yeah.
We always mention Ashell. So Ashell was our kind of our artist curator for Share the Vibes Fest this year. She was on the podcast a while back. But she does music administration up in Milwaukee for a lot of different artists. She's worked with a lot of artists who come through the city trying to help them get their paperwork together. And the whole reason I know about performance rights organizations, because Ashell was talking about it. So we always ask artists, all right, are you registered with such and such? And all those types of things. So I love that you're talking about that. And I hope the artists out there who hear this are listening. It's important, man. It's important. Get what you're owed and protect yourself. Yeah. So we're gonna segue into our Vibe Talk segment. So as we do that, You say music is kind of where your real passion lies here. You're passionate about it all, but if you had to choose, it would be music. But what's your process as you're creating your music? When you're trying to write, get that song together. What's your creative process in doing that?
For me, when I start, one of the first things I'm thinking about is like, okay, what do I want to talk about? What do I want the song to be about? And I might not always have the full song written out right away, but I want to write. I write down general ideas on what I'm looking for, general themes that I want to access, and emotions that I'm thinking about. And then from there, I start, cycling through beats. Um, I'm in an era now. I prefer live instrumentation. I just feel like it's the most honest because I'm not just out here trying to write a hit. I mean, hits are definitely cool, but again, understand where your pocket is.
Yeah.
So for me, that's what I like. I still believe in bridges.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
I was gonna say, one's gonna light up on that one.
man, I heard bridges. I'll say yes.
I still believe in bridges.
Oh man, yes.
So that's my process of it, man. I don't always have it always fully written out, but I'm willing to continue to sit with a song for months, sometimes even a year. David, I think you have heard this, but my song "Best Man," I had wrote that literally,
jam,
like 2 or 3 years before I actually released it. I had wrote that hook as a verse or something else, and then when I heard the instrumentation, I was like, whoa. I could still use what I wrote from that a long time ago, and I put it back in there, and it became that awesomeness of it. And I finally had to do the video, which I shot in Central Park also for that one.
Yeah, and I think Mwanja was actually playing Best Man when I hopped in here today.
My damn,
that's my jam, man.
Tough.
Oh man,
yeah.
Hey, well, let's listen to some of what you got out here, man. I love the music you put out. So let's get into this Vibe Talk segment. So if you're new to the podcast, this is a part of the show where we like to get into the catalog of the artists we have on, or if you're not an artist, we'll get into something music related that ties into what we've been talking about. So today we have an artist, so we can get into their catalog. So we'll play a snippet of a few songs and let you give us the backstory on it, or just something unique we should know about it that we may not know, or whatever you want to listeners to remember as it relates to that song. So let's jump into Vibe Talk. Where you want us to start today?
I already got something queued up.
All right, he ready.
It's already here.
It's on you.
Since we were talking about it.
Yep.
So many people get what they want in life, then that's the other half that can't seem to get it right. I've been through this battle over again. This time I feel I cannot wait. Thoughts in my head left unsaid, but I can't help myself. It's tough when you're a good dude and not the best man. Tough when she says we're just friends. Now I done seen your ups and downs.
Bag right there. Start feeling that thing in the shundo.
Yeah, I was telling Devin earlier, I was like, this would be a perfect song for in a movie or TV show where, the dude see his best, his girl, the girl he really truly loved, but she going on a date with somebody else, or you know, I can definitely see that being in the movie somewhere for sure.
Absolutely.
A transition scene. You know, he bringing the girl flowers, and she opened the door, and the dude opened the door up. Oh, it's tough.
You got to send him the video if he hasn't seen the video, because clearly I must have heard you somewhere in the past life.
Okay. I never got to watch the video. He told me it was a video too.
Yep.
Hold on. Yeah. Cue it up on YouTube and see, so I can watch it when we get done.
Might have to put that into the YouTube version of the pod. Have that playing.
Yeah.
Oh man, tell us about that one, Jay.
Yeah.
Oh man, so that was a song very near and dear to the heart, and just my journey through love. Same with one J, man. I love women, man, and I love to kind of just be in that space. But the reality of it is, which was a life lesson in itself, some of us, including myself, I had this idea about, I'm a good dude. Okay. That doesn't mean that that person has to like you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't force people to go to that space. So what that song was about was just the reality of what does it mean to date in general. You can be a good person. That still doesn't mean everything is going to be happening. You have to find the person that's meant for you, and not just because you're a good guy or a good girl. The song itself is definitely meant for anybody. Even though I say best man, it's meant for a woman also who felt like she was the best person for that job. And that can be true, but you probably just want the best for that person. And you can't force yourself to be the best for that person. But the reality of it is, you still got to allow yourself to experience that emotion. What does it mean to go through that? One of my favorite artists growing up, which is also an inspiration for my name, was J-Llyfe Jennings, man. I think he always did a really dope job of just being vulnerable at the emotions. Like, man, this man was so dope with it. Him even admitting on record, man, I didn't even have a venereal disease. Didn't want to go to the clinic, all that attention embarrassing me. Over the years, I learned to understand that I don't give a damn when nobody says I'm a man and I cry.
Cry is one of the ones, boy.
Cry. So, and in that same song, he's like, crying is like taking your soul to the laundromat. And us as men, and probably on more than one occasion, been told, "Oh man, you're not big men ain't supposed to cry. Men ain't supposed to show emotion." And that's what this song is about. It was still showing this emotion of what is it like to be rejected. And again, that doesn't mean I'm gonna stay in this space, but the point of reality is this was my reality, and I'm just sharing what it was like to be in that space. Being the best dude. I mean, being a good dude, but not the best man.
And you said it in 1994? Oh, you ain't playing. All right.
So yeah, man, I was from Alabama, so I love Forrest Gump growing up. So that inspired the video shoot. So I told the story from two different angles. I directed this, by the way. So I told the story from the 1994 angle and the present day angle of two couples, and how much dating's changed, but also in some form of fashion hadn't changed.
Mm-hmm. It's good. That's dope. So I'm gonna watch that. I was looking at it now. So it's look good. It look good.
Man.
Hey, man, well-rounded brother there. I mean, go ahead.
Sorry, last note on that song also, man. I mean, again, it's one of my favorite songs I've ever written, but also, depending on who you get to press play on it, some people may turn it off right away. So when we talk about, submitting your music to something, you want to make sure that you have those parts that gets to the good point of the part. Because somebody who's impatient and doesn't love stuff like that, they're going to turn that song off. It's like, oh, man, this guy's not singing. He ain't talking about nothing. Because, I don't turn up until the second verse of the song.
Yeah.
And I say that because that was a real story that happened for me when I went to go, pitch that to some people. It's like, oh, man, it's too slow for me. There's not enough happening. And you didn't get to the good part of the song yet.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah, that's why I said earlier, like the music, this whole album here, Songs for Her, H.E.R.
Yeah, I love my acronyms.
Yeah. Like this, it reminds me of good old fashioned love music. Your Anthony Hamilton, and just like the soul in it and even the instrumentation, it brings us back to a nostalgic time of, because I was listening to Solana, SZA new record, the new 15 records, whatever, and I liked it, but I turned it off after a while because it was like, it's just, not bubble. It wasn't bubblegum. It was just, I don't know. It's just something to listen to past time. But this I'm gonna go back to because this is it hits. It's like eating fish and grits.
Hey, another acronym. That's another acronym right there.
Yeah.
Let's go there next.
Yeah, F it.
Here we go.
Stuff happens. Girl raised in the South.
Like you need to play the fish and grits for this.
Triple Green Saturday.
Fish and grits. Collard greens, cornbread, fried steak. Not afraid to lick her fingers, not afraid to clean the plate. Shit, I got yams, she is brown sugar. Mouth so thick, 70 bill. Attitude, that's from that like a groove, pushing down in the kitchen. From the door hood and hide it, drive my tune. Numbers like the need a wound. Seconds of a fool. Fuck it. Shit happens. Fell in love with the girl who was raised in the South. Fuck it. Shit happens. Fell in love with the girl who was raised in the South. Fuck it. Shit happens. Fell in love with the girl who was raised in the South. Fuck it. Shit happens. Fell in love, fell in love, fell in love, fell in love. Now I've been living.
Yeah, I love that one. That's one of my favorites.
And on this song, I do both, man. I rap and sing. So again, if people patient, they get to the third verse, you hear the rapping on it.
Right in the South. Come on.
I remember I think the very first time I heard the song, because like I try to play projects all the way through, don't skip none of that. I just try to play it through just to hear it. And I don't think I quite caught it. And then when we went back to it, I was like, oh, okay, I see what you did there. Fish and grits, I get it. And then being from the South, like in the country South too, like the Birmingham country, but it's city country. It ain't city country like Atlanta city country, but it's still city country. But I'm from like country, Fitzgerald, Georgia. And like I just appreciate fish and grits on a different level. I grew up where we had some fried brim. You still got to pull them bones out the fish with the grits. That's what this song take me. I always say I probably should. I think I would have thrived like in the 70s, 80s when the Duke joints was a thing, and you pull up to the club in the. I was wearing suits in the club in 2012 and stuff. Back then you pull up to the suits and they got the jukebox going and the live bands and the fish frying in the food.
Mm-hmm. And for those that don't know, if you look at the record, he sang it in the hook. So if you a little bit, earlier Devin mentioned it, I tried to play it off like I knew it, but I didn't. It went into like it didn't click until just now. Like it clicked. Like I looked at it, I said, "Oh, okay." Girls raised in the South, got it. Grits.
Mm-hmm.
Got it.
Tell us the story behind that one, man. How you come up with this?
I love an acronym, man. Again, I like to operate because again, I get the privilege. Like I said, I was blessed with multiple things, man. Just from an artist to an actor to a director to a writer and so many things, man. So I always try to approach the songs just from a storytelling standpoint. What is the story I'm trying to tell? What do I want people to take away from this? And the whole album in itself is a conceptual piece. Songs about her, HER. Songs about having emotional resistance. Songs about honesty, equal, and respect. This particular song here, F It, Things Happen, I fell in love with a girl who was raised in the South. It was all these things and what fish and grits represented. It can definitely be this fulfilling meal, but if not handled properly, you can burn your mouth, you can drop your plate. The ratio's off. You may get full too soon and not get a chance to grind out. And that's all the things represented in love.
Swallow bone.
And I just want So I wanted to kind of tell that story of what does it mean to make love and be in love, like floating through a kitchen of all your favorite items.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why you hear me refer to so many foods. And clearly, I was also satisfying my inner fat child. Collard greens, cornbread, fried steak. You know what I'm saying? It was all those things, man. So what is it like to just to be Southern? It was part of my roots. So I just love being able to tell that story. A lot of people gravitate to it. They love really singing the hook. People just love to curse.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I just love the nonchalantness. Like, hey, things happen.
Yep. When trying to, I mean, no, hey, man. Raised in the South.
Yeah.
It's one of my life anthems.
Yeah. And again, with the story in life, man, I mean, you're gonna find love, you're gonna win the love, and you're gonna lose it. But I don't need to bash the person.
Right.
It happened. So what are you gonna do with it next?
Yeah. Love it, man. Where you want to go next, brother?
And where you want to take us?
Oh, me?
Yeah, you.
Yeah.
Man. Well, I mean, sticking with the, I'm not sure how many more we're gonna play. But I mean, we mentioned my wife earlier. So if you hadn't played this one yet, "Forever Friend" was the most recent thing I released. That was a song that I dedicated to my wife that made it. Into our wedding video and so on and so on, man. So each phase I write in, I try to continue to write on where I'm at in life and honorable of that journey. So, I mean, I've had the dating mishaps, but where I was at now, I found a forever friend. That special person again that you can just depend on. And again, it's that song that's kind of still in that pocket of the Motownness, but it's honesty and what does it mean to be at this juncture in life.
Just play it, Forever Friend.
Shout out my bro Quincy Valentine who produced this one.
I remember the day like it was yesterday. They say when you know, though life has gotten the best of me. They say when it shows, it's showing up on loan, shutting folks out for sure, focusing on me, what I was about. Right now, I can say that I found a forever friend who I can depend. Oh, give my all to the very end. My forever friend. Our love goes for miles and miles, daily running through my mind.
Like that.
Thank you for little things like your smile. You truly one of a kind. Share about me. Oh, let down my guard. Supposed to get close to me. But see you change. Change that is.
I like how you laid them vocals in there too.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, kind of taking me on a little journey here. I was kind of riding away.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that's a great record right there too. That's another one that'll stick to you. That's another one that sticks to you.
Like fish
and
and grits.
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah, man.
And I think too, just on the side, a lot of people skip that stage when it comes to relationship, that friendship stage. Because I was just having a conversation with someone about that, and I was like, skipping the friendship stage, and you even said it in your record, like being vulnerable. a lot of guys can't really be vulnerable because if I got you right away as a girlfriend, there's things that I can't really say to you anymore now because as the dude in your life, if I tell you this, there might be fear of you like rejecting me as the boyfriend. Whereas if we were friends and I told you this, you were like, oh, well, I just knew that about you, or I can accept that about you because I know you deeper than just as my man. I know you as my friend. So I can go on. You can be vulnerable when you have that foundation of friendship as opposed to just jumping right away into being a girlfriend. That's just my take. But I do feel like you have to have that friendship piece in order to be vulnerable, like you said in the record.
Was this written around the time you proposed to your now wife?
This was written before.
Okay.
But we've been dating, so I released this. I wrote it while we were dating in general. And again, it was one of them stories I had an idea for and I had a concept for it. And I kind of just let it sit there. And as I continued to kind of be in this space, so what is it like? The lyrics became more clear to me.
Yeah.
And I was able to kind of really put it out there. And that was just the final project, man. And like you said, man, for the backing vocals, all of it, man, like I was very intentional about each aspect of it. I grew up really loving Boys to Men and in the Motown era. And the song was like, being on the corner shop of these 4-part harmonies and all these things. So me and my producer, shout out to, sorry, not producer, but me and my studio engineer, shout out to B-Flat. We, sat there and really layered those small parts. Like no space went unwasted. So for me, I'm naturally a tenor, but I do enjoy my soprano alto times where I get to get down there, and then I get to enjoy my bass times also. So I have like acapella versions on my laptop where you get to hear all those voices for when people who love music like you guys, and like, well, hey, let me hear what this sound like without the music.
Yeah.
So I'm always thinking about that and how it's going to sound in the final mix.
Love to hear, man. I feel like Rocky mentioned B Flat when she was on here.
Yeah, that name did sound familiar. B Flat from.
He's from Birmingham.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
So we had.
Okay.
Do you know Rocky?
Not off the top of my head right now.
So Rocky, she came through Gamma Pi at Miles 09. But she's a musician down there as well, a dope barber as well. Also, I usually go to her to get a haircut when I'm in Birmingham, but that's how I first met her. But she had a big song last year, Green Acres. Of course, I'm sure that resonates with you being from Birmingham. But she had a song called Green Acres and and a few others. But she's been doing her thing. But she works with B Flat a good bit. So she mentioned his name when she was on the pod as well. So. Yeah, if you find that episode with Rocky, I forgot the name of the episode, but it's an episode featuring Rocky out of Birmingham. You'll probably enjoy also, but she's definitely done some work with B Flat and some others as well. So, yeah, man.
B Flat's dope, man. He's in Atlanta now, making it work. He's worked with everybody. He works a lot with RL now. He's done.
She's him too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Love to see it, man. Well, hey, with Jay, man, I know you got to go, man. We got to get to wrap up these things for the holidays. But thank you for coming through and sharing with us, man. If you listen out there, you're interested in music, acting, music supervision, not scoring, music supervision, and all these different aspects of just creative storytelling. Man, I hope you've taken something away from this conversation. So how can people connect with you and stay engaged with you?
I keep it simple, man. I'm J-Llyfe on everything, including Cash App. J-L-L-Y-F-E across all social medias. You can also check out my website, jlyfe.com, that showcases everything from artistic ventures to the music. Speaking of music, I don't even know if I had to do the play stuff on my side, but I do have a project. I think I told you this that I'm working on. That'll be ready at the top of the year.
Okay.
And so this is my next piece. Again, just where we're at in this journey, man. I hadn't released anything in the last 7 years, but I have definitely been working.
I showed me to say something about that too. Yeah, go.
I mean, I got a few instruments. You want me to play a little sample? Play you a little sample. I don't know if I do it.
Are you able to send it in our group chat?
Let's see.
One J got the board and everything set up over there, so he be.
Yeah, let me.
But if not, you can just throw it by the speaker if you want to. It won't be as clear, but
yeah, man, we're getting the exclusives.
World premiere. Where's my? I ain't got no world premiere. World premiere. I don't think y'all can hear the drops anyway on the other side. Let me see. Can you hear this?
Yeah. I hear the.
Okay. Next,
getting active.
I'm gonna find world premiere. World premiere. World premiere. Actually, let me see if I can find that on that.
All right, I'm finna send it to the group chat.
I bet.
And then we'll be able to play it. So this one, like I said, I mean, as a writer in general, I love not only write for myself, but I love to be able to write from the female's perspective also. And this song right here, man, I feel like it's gonna be that hit when it drops. But that's not the reason why I wrote it.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's gonna do what it needs to do. So
heard it here first. Share the Vibes podcast. Tap in with us.
So shout out to Erica. She's fam out of ATL. She's got a few projects out there. This is called LMOR. Again, y'all know I'm an acronym guy. But it's called Leave Me on Red.
I almost thought this was something else.
I got a temper, baby. I know it's tempting lately. Trying to communicate and not come off lazy or simply crazy. I go through mood swings, working through some past things. Hoping it builds trust, you see, as you love on me, asking patiently. Are you ready? Tell me that you're reading. Where is your phone? My message needs receiving, so don't leave me on red. Yeah, don't leave me on red. What's the line? Avoiding disconnecting. Where is my phone? My message, I should check it, so won't leave you on red. Won't leave you on red.
Yeah, I like this stuff. Yeah,
give it all away. You gotta buy it. On Apple iTunes. You gotta buy it. Don't stream it, buy it. Stream it, buy it. You gotta buy it. $1.29.
I like what you did, man. One thing I could say about it, man, I don't think you've had a drop yet, whether it was a single or a project that I've heard that I just wasn't impressed with. So I appreciate you for putting out dope vibes, putting love into the art you're creating, and releasing quality for us to enjoy. And it has these timeless feels, like Songs About Her drop. Was that 2017, something like that?
2017.
Yeah, so 7 years later, about to be 8 years later, and it still sounds brand new. It's timeless music, man. So salute to you, continuing to do that. And I appreciate the fact that you're in New York now, but you still got that Birmingham, that Southern energy, that vibe in the music you're creating. So I appreciate that as a Southern boy myself. That means a lot to me. Fish and grits, man.
Fish and grits.
That might need to be the episode. Fish and grits, man.
Like fish and grits.
Man.
That's it, man.
Man, thanks for dropping that exclusive on us, man. I like when we get exclusives that share the vibe. Make me feel important. Make me feel special.
Appreciate you guys for having me and creating this space for us. I love what you guys are doing so far. It's important that we have these conversations, not just on the music, but what's happening behind the music. which is again it's a life story in itself. That some people only care about. What you said? Do you fools listen to music? Do you just skim through it?
Right.
You know. So are we literally, getting what went into this and the stories around it? That's just as important, not just the headline.
That's what makes it what it is, man. It's the story. It's all storytelling and all that we're doing, man. It's in what fuels those stories. What's the meat and the potatoes behind it? So thank you for that, man. Anything else you want to leave the audience with before we close today?
Hey, man, wishing everybody safe, happy holidays, love on yourself, love on your family, and leave with grace.
Leave with grace. Leave with grace. Mwan J, any last thoughts from you, brother?
Listen, man. Sometimes you gotta say F it. Things happen, man. Things happen. But no, man, man, JT, we appreciate you, man. Dude, like the music is there. I'm excited to see what you're gonna plan on doing next year. We already got a snippet of something that you already got going on. Can't wait to see you hopefully on the screen again as well too.
Yep.
With other projects, or just even see your name in the credits as a music supervisor. That's important too. I love seeing people that I know in the credits, like, oh yeah, I know that person.
Yeah.
So that's dope as well too. So like I said, man, to continue success, keep it pushing. You in the right. New York is the right place, so you're in the right place. You know what you're doing. So just keep doing your thing, man. And once again, we appreciate you for hopping on in and then also answering my questions too, because I think a lot of people really don't know that process of acting and things like that. So thanks for being vulnerable in that space as well too.
Yeah, I love how we get on here and learn stuff. Like
man.
I never know what's gonna happen in the episodes, but I love how we typically learn something, at least ourselves. So, which goes back to what I said earlier, man. It's an influencer tagline, but hey, like, share, subscribe, comment. Let us know what resonated with you. Turn on that bell so you know when we're posting and publishing and all this good stuff. And share this with somebody. An aspiring artist. Somebody who's in the grind. Somebody who's dope but doesn't have their business together and getting screwed over. On the music front, like people who need to hear this story today. So share this with somebody, and bless their life, man. That's what it's here for. So thank you again for listening. Thank you again, J-Llyfe, for coming through and sitting with us.
Thank you, guys.
And man, we wish you the absolute best in all that you're doing. And to all those who are listening, I hope you had a blessed and prosperous 2024. And I hope you're preparing yourself for an even bigger 2025, because the best is yet to come, and there's greater on the way. So thank you. As always, stay safe, stay blessed, keep sharing the vibes. Peace.
Peace.
Peace.